Hello and welcome to another. I don't know. I don't want to call this a tutorial because one never stops learning, and I feel like I am still learning. But nevertheless, this is something I wanted to share with you guys. We are going to be creating a generic device, smartphone, whatever you want to call it. I just want to show you how quickly you can make something like this with having minimal knowledge of how Blender works, Blender modeling. I myself am still fairly new to Blender. I used to use 3ds Max for many moons, and then I switched over to Blender around about last year. The final file will be available on CG Trader for $5, or on Gumroad if you prefer to buy it on Gumroad if you don't have an account on CG Trader for the same price. Or you can just follow along and make it yourself. So the first thing we're going to do, I've got an iPhone 8. I'm not saying we're going to be making an iPhone. The whole point is that you're making something generic, so that you can use it in any animation or whatever you want to make it with. So I'm just using a ruler just to measure out just basic dimensions, because this sort of a phone size I actually like. I don't like the bigger phones. I had a iPhone 6 Max before this, whatever you call it, Pro Max, whatever. It was way too big. Way too big for my hand. So that's 6.5 centimeters. I am South African, so I use the proper system of centimeters, etc. This is about 135 millimeters, and this is about 65 millimeters. So that's the shape, and how wide, about 7 millimeters wide. So we aren't going to make a super detailed version of a phone. We are just going to be making like a generic, I won't say low poly and I won't say cartoony either, but just a phone that you'll be able to use for normal sort of animations. So 7 millimeters by 67 millimeters by 140 millimeters. So that's going to look very tiny. You just press numpad full stop on your keyboard. We are just going to go to view, and we're going to click the clip start all the way down to its lowest. Otherwise, when we zoom in on this small size, Blender is going to not let us see what we're doing. I'll press N to hide that menu. So already we have a decent shape for our phone. So if you press tab and you go into edit mode, press 2 to go to your edges, and let's just select these edges. And then you'll press Ctrl B to bevel them. Ooh, I forgot something. Just undo that. Go out of edit mode. If you press Ctrl A and you click apply the scale transformation, then it just helps when you are working in edit mode. You'll see the bevels immediately look different after I did that. I think let's go into the settings here. Oh, okay, now wait, let's just undo that. So Control B. I think that should be around about where we keep it. So if you go into the settings here after you've clicked bevel, you can add more segments. I think maybe 8 will be enough. I think that's going to be fine. You can change all sort of other settings here as well, but we're going to keep that as is. Yeah, that's looking good. So now I think before we add the details of your generic phone in here, we're just going to alt select that edge and alt select that edge And then we are going to bevel these this side as well, so that it's just a little bit smooth. Nothing is hard in real life, even though this is a more of a, I'm scared to use the word cartoony because it's not really cartoony, you know, it's more symbolic than a real phone that we're sort of going for realism. I'm going to make this 4. I'll see if we are going to smooth it afterwards, but let's just zoom out here a little. And if you press, okay, wait, 1. I press 3 on the keyboard just to get a better view, and then I'm going to press Control Alt 0 on the numpad to make a camera from the view. So here's a nifty trick that you can do. If you go to view and you click on lock camera to view, all the orbiting tools or all the movement tools that you use that you can see here at the bottom will sort of move the camera with the view as the tool says lock camera to view. So let's just click that off. So now you have a good sort of space for your camera and your object. So I think we're going to keep that view so long. Where did my render go? So as you can see, nothing. It's a blank slate still, so we have to add lighting and things like that. So yeah, let's continue. So I'm just going to hide the camera quickly. Okay, so you have your phone's base set up nicely. Just going to move this just one more. Cool. So you can even, I was going to say you can even use this as a base for the phone, but let's just create the camera first. So we have a choice to make now. Are we going to go with a screen like my older iPhone has, or are we going to go with the screen that has, what do you call this? Do you call it a bezel? I think you call it a bezel. So I think because modern phones sort of copy what Apple does with their phones, let's make the bezel. Let me just right click here and click on shade smooth so that you can see it just smooths out any artifacts you might, not artifacts, any non-smooth sections you might have had. Before I do anything else, let's save this and we'll call it generic phone. So before I have made something like this, and that's why it's cool to have a phone as a base. But you can see this is really really sort of primitive. So if you want to see something like this, how to make this, let me know, because these are all basic shapes. But so the phone that we are going to make now doesn't have, or it does have something like this, but it doesn't have a button and it has the bezel screen. So it will look our phone is going to look a bit more modern than this more blocky sort of a phone. But if you like something like this, let me know and I will, this was fairly quick to set up. You can see the models are very basic, so I can even improve on this to make it a little bit more just better. So basically we're just going to inset this, but be careful when you inset. If you inset too wildly, then you will go see very weird stuff happening. So I think the coolest thing to do is to inset just a little bit, and then after you've done that, you can control how far you inset via scaling. But I actually think this is okay for our purposes. Yeah, so you can keep this like this. Then I think if we are going to smooth this model, let's just add in a little bit more detail. So let's just tab out there. I'm going to select nothing. I'm going to go into, which mode shall we go into? Press 2 for edge mode. Let's create some more detail here, but just enough detail that because if we were to smooth this now, if we were to go to modifier and click on subdivision surface, it actually doesn't look that bad. I thought it would like conk out quite a bit, but I think because we added those details of the bevels earlier, it actually doesn't look too bad. Oh, this EV error. Okay, we are going to add let's see if we can add a texture to this. Let's go to shading. Where are we? Where's the little model? Sometimes Blender does this. It's extremely irritating. I'll see if I can fix it in real time here quickly. There we go. That should fix it. So we'll just make it a weird gray for so long. We'll come to the shading tab later on. So yeah, that should be fixed now. There we go. Our bland phone that looks like absolutely nothing at this point. Yeah, let's hope we can make it look a little bit better. So you in edge mode, and we'll press Ctrl R for loop cut. Oh, I see it doesn't want to link up. So because this geometry is here on either side over here, I think we'll first have to link these together before we can loop cut it properly, but that's not a problem. Press 1, select that vertex, go to this vertex, and is it J? It's J to join. So we'll do the same for this vertex on this side. Now, if we were to select loop cut, it would loop cut it correctly. Loop cut, Control R. There we go, you see. So if you use your middle mouse button, scroll it up and down, you can add more detail like this. We're not going to add that much detail. I think, let me just have a look at our reference. We're eyeballing it quite a bit here, so I think I'm going to keep it at 3 cuts. So if you move your cursor now, you'll see that it moves quite a bit, and sometimes you want to have it just in the middle after you've added the cuts. Just right click and then your cuts will go to the center of where they need to be. We're going to do the same thing horizontally or vertically. I'm so confused. Down this side. Vertically, but the cuts are horizontal. I think 5 should be enough. Like I say, we're just adding detail, just enough detail so that we have detail to work with. So that is looking a little bit better. So now with our bezel, I think we will come up. It's press 3 to go to face mode. The one thing I do miss that Blender doesn't have, I'm sure some smart person has already created a plugin or something for this, but I haven't gone to go look on Blender Market. Smoothing groups, I really miss smoothing groups, that you can have different smoothing groups for different parts of your mesh, but there are ways to get around it. But it's, yeah, So that's what I'm going to make. Maybe it needs to come in just a little bit more. I think we could inset it even more. So let's inset this even more. No. Just by scaling. Or you know what? I will inset it. Then I'll get another loop of detail in that section over there. So we're just going to come in over here. And if you press Ctrl Shift B, you will be able to bevel this section over here. So I'm just going to, before I do that, I just want to see the amount of detail in there and maybe just bring that down to 3. Yeah, I think I will keep it on 3. So select this edge and this edge, vertex, this vertex and this vertex. Control Shift B, and then that's going to be where our bevel, where our bezel is going to be. We can always clean this up afterwards, but I want that smooth, those smooth edges for the bezel. That's why we are beveling it, so that we can get the bezel. Sorry, I'm being boring with the play on words. So I think we should clean this up nicely. Basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to select that vertex and this vertex, and then I'm going to press M, and I'm going to go to at last, and that's going to merge it to the last vertex that I selected, just so that I can clean this up a bit, so that it's not, so that there aren't so many extra vertices and faces. So I will speed this up in post. Okay, because I'm lazy, I will just select everything by pressing A, and we are in face mode. Then if you press F3 and you search for symmetrize, you will bring those to, yeah, they will make the symmetry for your shape. So I think I'm happy with that geometry. It's not the best, but yeah, so this will be our bezel, and I would like to have a button at the bottom of this phone, just because it helps if you are doing things afterwards with like animations and stuff like that, just to have a place where you can press. But I guess phones are more advanced these days, so I think people will understand if you don't have it. Anyway, let's give this a material of its own. So on the material tab, you have your main material. Let's just call this, I think I'll make most of the phone, let's make most of the phone white. Let's change this base color to white. What's the hex code for white again? Is it F 6 Fs? Yeah, 6 Fs is white. So we'll make that white. Good. No idea why white is coming out like that. That's quite irritating. I'll sort that out later. Then we'll say new, and we'll make this material, we'll call this material screen, and we'll just make it black. Okay, we are back in Blender, and it seems the issue has fixed itself after the restart. So let's just add some more detail in here quickly. believe it or not, we are nearly finished with this. Let's just join that and join that, and then take this vertex and this vertex and join that. Select these two edges in edge mode, and then you click on bevel, and that will be our little section in the middle. That should be fine like that. And then just gonna loop cut that, and oh flip, just click on my select box over there to get that selection out, grab that, just move that a bit, and then Control Shift B, and that will, oh wow, we're gonna have to go into the settings here because that's a crazy bevel. But you know what, that actually isn't that bad, because the thing I'm going to select afterwards should help us. So let's just see if this is gonna work. So let's select all of these. Control plus will grow your selection. Then you need to, so loop tools is something that is that comes with Blender, but you need to go to your preferences, and you need to go to add-ons, and you need to just search for loop tools, and then just click the tick there, and then it should auto save, and then your loop tools you'll see should be at the top of your menu. So right click and then circle, should make a very pretty circle from that gobbledygook that was extruded there. So I'm just going to rotate this, press R, and then just rotate that just a little better, and then just scale it up just a little bit with S, and we should be good to go. So let's just see what happens now if we have to add a subdivision surface. Oh, that does not look right. So how can we fix this? Let's switch off seeing that ridiculousness. Let's press 2 for edges. Oh, at the back of my head I'm thinking, oh, this is a terrible tutorial, no one's gonna like this. But then in the same breath I think to myself, this just shows how much, even for like a simple model like this, how much crap you can run into. So I'm just alt selecting here, make sure that I don't miss any parts. I think this should work. Let's just see that we have everything selected here. Looks good, looks good. And then right click and go to edge crease, pull that up and make this go all the way to, the factor all the way to 1. So now it should work. Yes, it does. Thank the Lord. That would have been very embarrassing if it didn't work. So that's how you can, that's sort of how you can get around the smoothing groups situation that Blender doesn't have. So I'm happy with that. We're getting to a nice sort of place now. So yeah, you can see that this is a bit rounded and our edge over there is not so rounded. So let's see if we can together make that edge a little bit more rounded. Just putting my phone in the charge. Okay, I think it will be a loop tool as well that we will use. So Control R for loop cut. Let's keep it just like that. Okay, so that we're not going to change. Let's just get this to 0 again. Let's see. You see. So that's what we're going to be playing around with. So the smoothness over here, this is also why you needed to apply all of the transformations earlier, because now we can move the smoothness quite a bit, and you will see that it will start to bring out our section over here. We could actually keep this at just one cut, because our smoothing, let's switch the smoothing off. You see, the smoothing will take care of it looking too sharp. So if I have to bring that up, it's as high as I can go. So 4 is the highest that you can go here. Okay, so let me switch this off. So that looks quite hard, but with the smoothing on, it's looking almost perfect. But I'm going to see if I maybe add 2 cuts and 2 cuts like that, and let's have a look how that looks. I think that looks nice. That's nice and smooth. I am freaking happy with that, let's create a second camera. Let's go Shift A, new camera, and then I'm going to click on this camera icon over here, which will make it our camera that is going to be the camera that's going to be rendered. So let's press Ctrl Alt 0 on the numpad to make this our render view. You see it chopped this away now, but that's because clipping moved to the clipping on the camera. Okay, cool. So you click here on the camera and clip start. Oh, it's such an irritating setting. So there you moved it away, and then if you press F12, I like that smoothness over there. So yeah, things are looking good. Remember, we're not going to make a phone that's too detailed. Our phone is just going to be passable as a phone, and it's looking okay already. Let's do this a little differently. I'm going to merge at center. You'll see why I'm doing this. Merge at center and merge at center. Like I say, I'm lazy. So because I am lazy, I find easier ways of doing things, you know. I'm just going to merge this with that and merge this with that, just to clean up the geometry a bit. So select the center vertex, and we are going to Control Shift B, and we are going to bevel this similar to how we did with the little camera over there. And then we are going to right click, loop tools, circle. Oh, I hate how it best fit. We will just rotate this so that it's more in the center. These 4 vertices in the middle, I'm going to get rid of them. Dissolve vertices. There we go. Let's just do the same thing here. Let's get rid of this. Dissolve vertices. So why I did this is now you can just merge these together. Merge. Oh, join these together. So you want to bevel this just a little bit, so that you can take this section, G for grab, along the Y-axis, G for grab along the y-axis. We go all the way around about here. Same thing with this side, G and Y. And there you have your middle section, all neat. We just need to clean up this little vertex here. This one, M last. This little vertex here. M last. We're just gonna join these, and then we can get rid of, sorry, J for join. We can get rid of this edge, so dissolve edge, and this edge, X dissolve edges, and that's looking a lot neater. So what we'll do here is we will just, first I'm going to change this material. I'm going to make it black, but I'm going to make it a different black from the screen. So new, assign, okay, and then we can extrude this backward just a little bit. And then what I like to do, just to make sure that we don't get these weird artifacts, is let's press 2 for edge, and then we are going to give it just a little bit of a bevel, just a little, just the smallest of bevels, with just one extra segment in there, and that's going to look neat. And if you were to chuck on the smoothing, I forgot to make a, okay, let's first do this. Select this plus around about there, I think, and then we'll make all of this, the material, black. And then this edge where they meet to, that should have selected the whole edge. We will right click and we will say edge crease. We'll chuck that up, and then once you go to your smoothing again, it should look better than it did. Oh my fudge. Oh, I know why, because it needs more detail. Okay, let's add some more detail in here. It doesn't even have a line in the middle. That's why it's looking funny. So you take that edge, vertex, take this vertex, you press join, and already it should look a little bit better. Let's maybe inset this. You need to add just enough geometry so that the smoothing works out. Let's just see if we can inset this, if this is gonna assist us in our quest. Oh, one last bit of detail to add. Let's take this vertex, join it to that one, this vertex, join it to that one, this vertex, join it to this one, and this vertex, join it to this one, and there we have our ooh, you know what, we should have maybe taken this vertex to join. Yeah, you see that cleans it up immediately. So we'll see if this is going to look untidy when we click render, but that should be okay for now. And then we just do the same thing with our camera over here. Our camera that definitely needs a vertex to connect here before we have the same issue as we had the last time. So you see, modeling can get messy. I know people prefer to sculpt with things, but I have very little experience sculpting. I have a character that I've been working on as well, but she has been taking the back burner for the last while. You know what, let me just select this first, inset, so that we have a little bit more to work with. Okay, let's make that inset a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, and then inset it again, make it a bit bigger. Then this we'll make black, assign. This we will make a new material, let's just call it silver for now, and we'll make it gray, metallic, specular, roughness goes down, and we assign that. Oh, that is fun. Extrude it up. You know what, let me just switch off the smoothing. It shows how much extra work we need to do, but let's just switch that off so that I can actually see what I'm doing here. Oh, that's way too much. Extrude a little bit, and extrude a little bit. Extrude a little bit, and then extrude a little bit more. Cool. That's like the metal ring that's around cameras usually. And look at that, the smoothing actually cleaned it up nicely, but because of the way that I did those shapes. So let's just plus here and make that whole section silver, and it should look a bit better. Okay, that's not a train smash. I know why it's done that. Let's just go in here, 2 for edge mode. Okay, let me just make sure I get my whole edge here. So look, are there people that model better than me? Of course. The people that are better at this than me, of course, but I am also my own brand, and I unfortunately don't use 3ds Max anymore, so I'm not as experienced as I could be. It's just easier to use Blender, you know, because it's free. It's easier to learn Blender, and any add-ons that you would want you can always buy yourself. So any advice, any young 3D artists out there want advice, my advice is learn Blender as soon as you can. Blender's owner said he will never charge for Blender. Obviously there are people that create plugins and things like that for Blender. If it's worth it, go for it, buy it. I might get a modeling add-on for Blender, because it's pretty obvious that I might need it. So let's just clean this up a little bit. It's obvious where the issues are coming from. Switch this off. Switch this off. Number 1 for our vertex. Then we can join that together, clean it up nicely. Select this one. Let that go there. Join. So I've just inset that just to give myself some cleanliness to the final part of this render. So that's looking a lot better. Jeez. Anyway, so yeah, this is looking quite phone-y. I see they have this section and they make it black. We will do that as well. So let's first get an image on the phone, okay? So basically what Pixels is free stock. You get free stock from Pixels. So I like this image. Excuse me. Let's download it. Let's go to the screen and we'll click and drag our picture in here. We'll take the color, put it into the base color. Let's because we used symmetry earlier, it's now mirroring our texture. So I'm just going to go into UV editing quickly. Select. Why does every view have the clipping? Anyway, because just to fix what I have done there. So 3, you see there our image comes up in the UV editing mode. This is more me giving myself a tutorial with you guys here to watch. Anyway, I'm sure someone will learn something out of this. I promise the tutorials will get better. This is only the second tutorial on my channel. I'll obviously, like for something like TikTok, I will condense this so that it looks way faster than it really is. So there's our selection. So you should be able to undap faces. Let's just say undap, see what we get. There you go. I'm fine with that. It should look a lot better when we go back to shading. Perfect. I love it. Cool beans. So now when we make the rest of this part black, it's going to look a little better. Let me just make this black more charcoal, just to differentiate between the black that we are going to make now. It's a little charcoaly because this whole thing is going to be black now. So I'm going to make the rest of the phone. Okay, you'll see. I'll explain while I'm doing it. So this white, I'm going to make this the black. Okay, I'll tell you why now. It's going to be a lot easier to then come to this side, select this face, this face, this face, this face, and then do the multi-select on these faces. Okay, so you have that back panel selected now. Control plus. You'll see where I'm going with this. You'll probably already see where I'm going with this. And then all that complicated nonsense there, so that we don't need to select all of that. Again, I'm lazy, so I figure out easier ways to do things. So yeah, now we can create a new material. We say new, we call it what, and then we just assign. And let's just make this, like I can play around with the settings later. Not sure, but there we go. Oh, that's looking the part, eh? I really think that's looking the part right now. Before we get to the back part to do the camera, I think I'm going to skip that for this particular model, because this phone we are going to do stuff just with the front, like similar to, where's my image, similar to this. We only want it for the front part of things, but we are going to do lighting and rendering. So it's getting dark here where I am, Cape Town, South Africa, but let's get a render going. So that's the one camera, but we are going to go with this camera. So I'm just going to hide this camera quickly. Let's shift A, mesh, plane. That plane is big enough for me. Let's just go to this view and bring our phone. I press grab and Z. Let's just see if we are. That's pretty good. Looks pretty good to me. So let's just do the quick quick thing that I usually do with planes. Let's do a loop cut. Pop that there. I like that. Press 2. Select your edge. Grab. Z. Let it go all the way up. Control B. Bevel. And this is how you make your little infinity curve. Let's crank that up a little. Oh wait, you know what? Before I do that, let's just get this edge lined up nicely with a corner over there. That looks good to me. Now, Control B, bevel. Let's make it nice and wide. Let's check out our camera view. Select your box over here, then you go into the camera, and then let's just move our Z location up a little bit, and there our camera angle is sorted. I already see an issue. Let's select our plane, right click, shade smooth. Let's chuck a material onto this one. Let's say new. White is fine. Let's say plain. And I'll hike up my specular a little. Cool, let's throw in a light. So there should be a light. Oh, the light is so high. The light is way up in the sky because obviously our phone is a real size. So I'll press 7 to get into the top view. I'll press G to grab my light to bring it closer. We can keep it as an area light. Shadow is clicked. Contact shadows, please. I like contact shadows. It's still too high. So this light is using 1000 watts. So that's why you'll see this is quite heavy on our object right now. We will change that in a minute. Let's just make this a bit softer by increasing the radius. I'll make that 500 watts. That's even probably still too high because we are going to be adding more lights. Let's make it 250. Okay. Shift D to duplicate this light. Let's press Y to duplicate it along the same axis. I don't know if that's going to be too bright. Let's see. Let's have a look at how. Oh, that is looking a bit too bright. So let's make this 100 watts. And let's make this also 100 watts. Camera, let's go to our camera view. So we are in EV. Let's just have a look at our render settings. EV, we can maybe chuck that to 128. We want ambient occlusion. We don't really need bloom. Bloom, if we had like any neon lights or something in the scene, we could add bloom. Let's switch on screen space reflections as well so that we get a bit of a reflection on the floor. We should get one. We'll see now in the render. So let me maybe just add a light at the back. Shift A, light. Let's make it a spotlight maybe. Maybe an area light. Oh, so dramatic. Let's grab on the Z axis, rotate it a little like this, grab it more, just put it here, just for a bit of background lighting, you know. Maybe a little bit lower. Rotate it a bit more in this direction. So I don't know why I've chucked up the speed quite a bit at this last part of this tutorial, but you can see our phone is all one object. If we rotate X rotate Y, sorry, rotate Z. You could turn your phone a bit if you want a slightly different render. But let's have a look at what this looks like. F12. Okay, before I talk about that, I think that's looking good, but to see it a bit better, let's make this background, because the phone is white, let's make the background black. Let's make the background black, and it's maybe just to give some there you can see the reflections as well. Let's give the background just a little bit of noise. So we're going to take our noise texture, but we're going to plug it into a color ramp. Let's just make this black as well. But yeah, there you can see our phone is looking decent from this angle. I'm just going to save this. Phone 1. I think what I'll do is I'll add the camera in afterwards. And then for everyone that wants to buy the model, you can just get it from there. $5 is pretty cheap. And CG Trader usually runs sales all the time, but it'll be best to buy it via Gumroad because that helps me a lot. Every little $5 helps. There are other things on Gumroad as well. If you are interested, you can have a look. Let's just render out the straight on. Just make sure we save this, and then yeah, you can use this model for basically anything. If you're going to be doing other sort of scenes with a phone, then you have this phone in your back pocket. It's always good to have a device or a phone at the ready so that you don't need to spend an hour and a half fiddling about making it. So yeah, the cool thing is you can change this sort of a model to create a tablet as well, like an iPad or something like that, just by playing around with the geometry and editing it a bit. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, the second tutorial on this channel. Very all over the show, but yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, learned quite a bit, and yeah, I will see if I can improve speed as well. I did chuck it up quite a bit so that the render looks nice. But yeah, man, I'm happy with this. This looks very usable for renders and things like that. You can go into Photoshop, put a sort of an interface, like a phone interface here, and it will adjust to solid a bit more. That's pretty easy to do. So yeah, that is the tut. That is the tutorial. I hope you guys had fun. Please, if you can like this video, share this video, subscribe. It all helps a lot. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's the threshold that I will have to pass to actually earn money on YouTube. So if I can get past there, it will help a lot. But this is what you made. Congratulations if you followed this far. Look, if you've got any questions, I know that I maybe glossed over some tools and things like that. Just leave it in the comments, and I will see if I can help you. But the Blender community is awesome. So yeah, man, I enjoy doing this, and I look forward to hearing from you guys again. You will definitely be seeing this phone in future things that I do. I'm just glad that I have it modeled up, a slightly newer version of a base phone. I remember I used to do phones in my first job, like 2011, 2012. Actually, way before that. That was my second job. My first job, like 2008, 2009 to around about 2012. One of the clients of the agency is a big retailer. And I used to make so many phones, but that time phones were very different. So Blackberries were still in, lots of Nokias. Phones were very different that time. So lots of buttons as well. So this sort of a phone is way easier to make. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. It's dark already.
Thanks for watching. Here's the completed model, now available on Gumroad and CG Trader for $5. I went ahead and added textures to the front camera and the back camera that I added after the work along / tutorial. Then I added 2 buttons, a power button and a volume up and down button. Please support if you can. There are a lot of other items available on Gumroad as well, with more on the way. Otherwise, please like and subscribe. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers so that I can monetize my content on YouTube. Thank you for watching and have a great day.